Bill Parkman.
Here.
Secretary Donna Morris here. Vacant Gerald Morris.
Excused.
Dennis Shaw here.
Here.
Justin Wright, excused.
Yes. Item 4, adopt agenda.
I'll make the motion. This time.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Morris, seconded by Director Parkman. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, approved minutes. Who wrote these up?
I was blindfolded.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Director Schaffner, seconded by Director Morris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, comments from outgoing directors. And Dennis, I'll let you go first.
You ever go to an amusement park and ride a roller coaster? This election was one like that for me. On election, because remember there were 4 seats up for re-election, and 5 people. Is Tinkerbell here?
Yeah, she left.
Your phone on stun? And there were 5 people running. On election night, I was the odd man out. Less than a week later, I was ahead of the number 4 guy, this guy, by 1 vote. Another week goes by, I'm ahead by 3 votes, which I like to call a veritable landslide. 1 more week goes by, and we're tied. I don't understand why all the recounts, but, and then when the final results went in, I lost by 1 vote. Now, I said all that to say this, that every vote counts. Okay, if you don't think it does, come by and I'll run through that with you again. Okay? Now, this has been my, I think it's my 4th time on the board. We have another vacancy, and I've applied for that. And God willing, and there's probably some serious sucking up to be done. You're right, Dave. Hopefully, I'll be reappointed back again. My goal has always been, like I said on the night that we were here talking about candidates, to help make Rosamond a better place to live and work. I can't think of anybody who's on the board now or who is incoming who doesn't share that same opinion. So it's been my pleasure to serve, and I appreciate that and can take it as it's an act of service. It's not to be served, but to serve. And so thank you.
And I would like to say my goodbyes tonight. I didn't run for re-election to this seat. I instead ran for election to the RCSD Board of Directors. And, but I considered it an honor and a privilege to sit up here for the last almost 3 years and represent the Board of Supervisors and represent this community and to be your voice. And hopefully I served you well, and I want to thank Zack for having the faith in me to do this job by appointing me to this board. And I want to thank the community for giving me this opportunity to serve you. And the incoming board, you guys are going to do a great job, because just like all of us sitting up here, we care about this community or we wouldn't be here. And so your hearts are in the right places. Congratulations. And with that, Thank you very much.
Well done.
We're done.
This was up.
Are you playing musical chairs?
I don't want no music.
You don't want no music?
Dennis, I'd like to make a presentation, if I could, real quick to Gregg.
Sure.
I watched the elections, the different results, quite closely, and I watched the big back and forth battle between Bill and Dennis. But I do plan on reappointing Dennis to fill Gregg's seat. So if you're willing to serve, we'll keep you back. I say all that to let everybody know I have a certificate of recognition that I'd like to present to Gregg. And this is in recognition and appreciation for your years of dedicated service as a member of the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council and for exemplary public service and civic contributions to the community and to Kern County. And this is signed by all 5 members of the Board of Supervisors. So thank you so much, Gregg. I do also have certificates for Justin and for David. So I'm going to leave those with Michael, and so he can find a way to get to them. But since Gregg's here, I wanted to make sure we have the opportunity to present it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does it feel a little lonely up here?
Vice Chair should take over.
Well, we have to do the swearing in.
Let's do it.
So, I'd like to have Lisa Checkley, Mr. Washington, and Brendan.
Over here.
Go right here to this side over here.
I'm gonna be in your way.
All right.
Brendan, J. and Ryan.
Okay, so we've signed everyone's oath of office. And so what I'm going to do is if you can all state your name when it comes to when I ask you, if you state your name and then we'll all do the pledge. So if you could raise your right hand. So I, and then state your name.
Brendan Riley.
Thank you. Do solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. That you take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter.
You do.
All right, congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get these signed so that it's fully official. Brendan?
Can you state your names so we can write them down?
Brendan Riley.
Brennan. Last name Riley, R-I-L-E-Y.
Gregory Washington. G-R-E-G-O-R-Y.
That is for you, Brendan.
They want your name. Oh, Lisa Checkley. C-H-E-C-K-L-E-Y. Thank you.
William Parkman, P-A-R-K-M-E-N. Okay, Gregory, and for you. And Lisa. And Don, if you'll come over here and take care of me. Give that to me.
Probably should have done all of them. There you go, sir.
Okay. Okay, you may take your seats. Okay, the next order of business is election of board officers. First position is the chairman. Do we have any nominations?
I want to nominate you, Bill Parkman.
Okay,
Need a second?
probably should.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Okay, next position is vice chairman. Any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mrs. Morris.
Seconded. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Brennan.
Brennan Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that. Okay, all in favor, Donna Morris? Two, okay. All in favor, Brendan Riley?
Aye.
Aye, so we're tied.
That was fun.
Okay. We can make an agreement here that we'll run with Brendan as the vice chairman.
Certainly.
Okay, and last and probably the most important position, secretary.
I nominate Donna. You're so good. You're so good.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
My sign doesn't change.
Okay. Now that we're done with that, let's get into the meat of the meeting. Our guest speakers tonight are Lorelei Oviatt and Chris Kennegatt and Joe Allen Alexander. We'll start off with Lorelei.
Lorelei, okay, I will.
I cede the floor.
All right, I'll go first and I'll introduce Lorelei. How's that?
Okay.
First of all, thanks for everybody for being here tonight. We've got a great crowd. My name is Zack, Scrivner, 2nd District Supervisor, and so I represent Rosamond on the Kern County Board of Supervisors. Before I introduce Lorelei, I wanted to hit a couple of items of interest. We talked a little bit about our elections here for the Rosamond MAC, but there was a lot of other things obviously on the ballot. One of those that was of keen interest was the county sales tax. The sheriff came to the Board of Supervisors and asked us to put a sales tax increase of 1% on the ballot, so Kern would go from 7.25% to 8.25%. In comparison, if you shop over in Lancaster, Palmdale, that's 9.5%. The voters voted down the county sales tax. The reason the sheriff came to us and asked us to put that on the ballot is because the city of Bakersfield had put on a sales tax of their own. Same thing, going from 7.25 to 8.25%. The city of Bakersfield sales tax was failing 2 days after the election, or a day after the election, by 2,600 votes. But over the course of the days of the counting of additional ballots, the absentees, the provisionals, the vote flipped, and it actually passed by 97%. And so what they are saying is that the city of Bakersfield is going to hire 100 new police officers over the course of 3 years. And so the sheriff's concern was that they would be depleting the ranks of our Kern County Sheriff's Department in recruiting people away from the Sheriff's Department to go work for BPD. And so now we're going to be tasked with the Board of Supervisors to meet with the new union leadership of the Sheriff's Department to try and figure out a contract that will help us to get closer to pay parity with the Bakersfield Police Department in light of the fact that we also have a $17.9 million structural deficit that we're still trying to dig out of at the county. So that's going to present a challenge, but to me, that's the most important issue for us to address is our retention in our Sheriff's Department, and so we will do everything that we can to try and make sure that we have the best complement of officers that are out here in Eastern Kern that we can. A couple things that I think are good news that I wanted to hit. First of all, we made our hires for the OEA grant from the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense gave us $500,000 about a year and a half ago to do an economic diversification study for Eastern Kern. They do that, the DoD does that for communities that have military installations because, as you all know, sometimes the military mission can ebb and flow. Sometimes they ramp up, sometimes they can ramp down, especially if you have a base realignment and closure that takes place. And so they provide these grants to communities to look at their strengths and their weaknesses of their local economy and then find ways in which they can diversify, meaning grow jobs in different sectors and enhance those sectors that we're already producing. And so we received that first grant, did a study that was done in all the communities of Eastern Kern. We were partnered with the incorporated cities of Tehachapi and Ridgecrest and California City. And then the county represented Rosamond, Boron, and Mojave and the unincorporated areas around Tehachapi and the other towns. We did that for about a year with that study, but a lot of times you can do studies in government and they collect dust, they can sit on the shelf. So the really exciting thing is we went after another grant for the implementation of that plan, basically looking for funds that we could use to hire people to work with the local communities to implement the plan that was developed with all those different stakeholders. And so on Tuesday, we just hired the 3 people that are going to be working for us. That grant was a $1 million grant from the Department of Defense. So we brought in $1.5 million in economic diversification funds from the federal government to Eastern Kern through those efforts. And so those folks will work out of the Mojave Air and Spaceport, the city of Ridgecrest, and also California City. And so they'll be here working with folks in Rosamond. And so we'll make sure that we get them out here to the MAC so they can make a presentation on their progress when they get up and running and start to get their feet wet. Next thing, Launch Kern. Launch Kern is a program that we've put together that helps to train our employees to find ways to cut costs and improve efficiencies in county government. A couple of years ago, we were looking at a $44.5 million structural deficit because of the collapsing oil market, the slow economy, and our rising retirement costs for our employees. So we've cut that down to $17.9 million. One of the ways we've done that is by tasking our employees with finding ways to do their jobs more efficiently and save money. So we put our employees through training. We've trained about 700 employees so far to look at how they can identify cost savings and efficiencies in their job that they do each and every day. So to date, this is we're just barely a year into this. We've saved $6.5 million, and we've saved over 55,000 man hours a year on basically finding ways for county folks to do their job faster, better, cheaper, smarter. The Advanced Kern Initiative is our economic development initiative where we're providing tax incentives for businesses. So a couple of successes, we were able to land Amazon with a fulfillment center, a 2.4 million square foot fulfillment center. They're going to hire between 1,500 and 2,000 people. Average salary, I think, is $36,000 a year there at that facility. But there will be a lot of people who are in management and obviously making more than that. Also, we were able to land L'Oreal USA. That's 155 jobs. Average salary of $48,000 a year. That's going to be done at Tejon. And we just approved about a month ago a new Lowe's travel center in Boron. And so that is going to bring in 40 jobs. We'll be doing a job fair for folks in Boron that can work there. And so, so 40 jobs, and they're looking at, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1,200 cars and 600 trucks that are going to be coming through that travel center each and every day, sorry. And so that sales tax that the county will be capturing that we can hopefully hire some more deputies with. And lastly, for all of you who are concerned about the welfare of our animals, Kern County, we undertook an initiative to become a no-kill county by the year 2020, and that means you have more, you have live outcomes for animals that come into your county shelter. And so this year, this November, as compared to last November, we have 1,500 fewer animals that are being. I'm sorry, 1,500 more animals that are being adopted as of this year as compared to last year. And so let me put that in perspective. 75% of all the animals that are coming into our county shelter are leaving, either being adopted or they're going out to other rescues. In 2010, when I first took office, it was the inverse. 75% of the animals were being euthanized in our shelter. And so we've gone from 75% being euthanized 8 years ago to now 75% that are leaving the shelter with new homes or going to rescues. So that's my report for you for the end of the year, and I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody has anything on those topics.
So
Yes, sir.
the tax initiative,
Yeah.
can you tell us why the language wasn't more specific to guarantee money to public safety? I think
Yeah.
it passed hands down if the language was different.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate that question. The sheriff came to us after the city of Bakersfield had put theirs on. Now, the city of Bakersfield was a general tax, meaning it just went into their general fund. Now, they did say we're going to spend it on new police officers, we're going to spend it on combating homelessness, we're going to spend it on economic development. But it was a general tax, went into their general fund. When an elected body, like the Bakersfield City Council or the Kern County Board of Supervisors, puts a sales tax on the ballot, if you have it go to a dedicated purpose, it takes 66.6% yes vote. If it's a general tax, it is just a 50% plus 1. Now, the city of Bakersfield was a general tax, and so we did what the sheriff asked, and we did the same thing with the lower voter threshold. Now, if you had a situation where the sheriff's deputies or a citizens group or any of the other county unions went out and collected signatures to put those initiatives on the ballot, then the Supreme Court just ruled in California that it would only take a 50% plus 1 vote. And so you may see that effort in the future, I don't know. But you could have a dedicated sales tax that way that would just go to, say, the Sheriff's Department, DA, and probation, public defender, fire department, whatever it is, however it was written. But that was the reason why it wasn't a dedicated tax. And so I agree with you that that gave a lot of folks pause. Now, I do spend $2.7 billion of taxpayer money every year when we approve the budget, and so this would have generated $35 million additional dollars, and so that's part of our job. But I do know that did give folks some pause because it wasn't specifically going to public safety.